The night I stayed late at the office, I told myself it was nothing more than a favor, a simple act of responsibility, the sort that earned approving nods and performance reviews, nothing sinister or unusual. I worked in a squat, glass and concrete building at the edge of a business park, the sort of place where the lights always hummed and the carpets always smelled faintly of vacuum dust. The cleaning crew had already come and gone, leaving the corridors with that vague lemony tang and the faint, chemical wetness of mopped tile. My cubicle was a little island of pale monitor light in a sea of darkness. The only sound, the quiet, rhythmic click of my keyboard. It was nearly midnight when I finished sorting the last of the quarterly reports. The building was silent, save for the soft, distant hum of the vending machine down the hall. I stood, stretched, and glanced at the darkened row of cubicles. Only the red exit sign glowed at the far end, its reflection jittering in the glass doors. I laughed to myself, feeling a childish urge to run rather than walk to the elevator, the way I used to when I turned off the basement lights at my parents' house. But I was an adult now, and this was just a building. As I gathered my things, my phone buzzed, a low, insistent vibration that seemed oddly loud in the stillness. A message from my manager. Thanks again. Don't forget to lock up. I thumbed a quick reply and shut down my computer, the sudden absence of its whirring fan making the silence deeper. I moved through the maze of cubicles, my footsteps muffled on the industrial carpet, the punch of the security code at the supply closet door echoing in the empty space. I was almost to the lobby when I realized I'd left my coffee mug behind. It was an old, battered thing, but I liked it. A little piece of home in the sterile office. Annoyed, I retraced my steps, weaving through the familiar gray partitions. That's when I noticed the smell. Something wrong, faint at first. Not the usual lemon or dust, but a sweet, cloying scent, like flowers left too long in a vase. I paused, sniffed the air, dismissing it. Maybe the cleaning crew had used a different product. My mug was where I'd left it, next to a stack of manila folders. I picked it up and turned to leave, but I stopped short. My monitor was back on, white screen glowing in the darkness. I was certain I'd shut it down. Habit, really. The same as every night. I stared at the login screen, the pale blue cursor blinking with steady patience. I told myself I'd made a mistake, that maybe I'd only logged out instead of powering down. Still, the little hairs at the back of my neck prickled. I pressed the power button, holding it down until the screen winked to black. I waited just to be sure, then turned away. As I passed the conference room, I caught a flicker of movement inside. Reflex made me look, but the room was empty. Just the ghostly reflection of my own shape in the glass wall, warped and doubled by the darkness. I frowned, heart thumping a little faster. The air was colder here, the temperature dropping a few degrees in just a few steps. I told myself not to be silly. The HVAC system was old. It always cycled strangely at night. Down the hall, the vending machine's light flickered. The hum that had been steady all night now pulsed, a faint, irregular rhythm. I passed it quickly, resisting the urge to glance at the warped reflections in its glass. I pushed through the lobby doors and froze. The security lights were off. That was odd. They always stayed on until 2. The receptionist's desk was a dark shape in the gloom, and the glass doors leading to the parking lot were smeared with condensation, as if someone had pressed their face to the glass. I hesitated, then approached, peering out into the sodium-lit lot. My car was the only one left, its windshield a dull, cloudy oval in the yellow light. As I reached for the handle, I heard it. A soft, wet clicking, like tongue on teeth from somewhere behind me. I spun around, heart leaping, but there was nothing there. Just the empty lobby, the glow of the exit sign, and the distant shapes of cubicles beyond. I laughed, the sound thin and too loud. "Get a grip," I muttered, and yanked open the door. The night air was sharp, with the promise of rain. I hurried across the lot, fumbling for my keys, mug clutched tight in my hand. As I unlocked the car, I glanced back at the building. The office windows stared back, blank and dark, except for a faint flickering light on the second floor. My floor. I stared, confused. I'd turned everything off, yet there it was, a single pale square of light, fluttering as if from a candle. I almost walked away. I almost convinced myself to drive off, leave it for the morning. But I couldn't shake the feeling, part guilt, part dread, that I'd left something undone, something small and important. Maybe another computer had been left on. Maybe the cleaning crew had missed it. I went back. The glass door stuck, refusing to open at first, as if something heavy pressed on the other side. I should have left it. Instead, I braced my shoulder and shoved, the rubber seals giving with a sticky squeal. The lobby was colder now, the air thick with that same sweet, rotten smell. My footsteps echoed as I made my way to the elevator, which waited with its doors open, as if expecting me. Inside, the lights buzzed overhead, but the button for my floor was already pressed. I hesitated, then poked it again, watching the doors slide shut. The ride was slow, the kind of slow where you can hear every gear and cable working, every groan of metal. When the doors opened, the hallway was dark, except for the flickering light at the far end. I walked toward it, the shadows stretching and shrinking as I moved. The smell was stronger here, thick and syrupy, tinged with something metallic. The light came from my cubicle, or rather, from the space just beyond it, the little copy room we use for shredding files. The door was ajar, a thin line of golden light spilling out. I approached, and the clicking sound returned, soft, wet, rhythmic. Hand shaking, I pushed the door open. The room was empty, save for the copier and the shredder, both dark and silent. But on the floor, in a perfect circle, were a dozen white flowers. Lilies, I thought, or maybe something else. Their petals bruised and browning at the edges. In the center was my mug, upright, filled with a thick, dark liquid that wasn't coffee. I stared, trying to make sense of it. Had someone been here? A prank, maybe, though I couldn't think who would do it, or how they'd gotten in. I reached for the mug, my hand trembling. As my fingers closed around the handle, the lights flickered, and the air grew colder still. The clicking sound grew louder, echoing from the vents, the walls, the very floor. For a moment, I saw movement in the corner of my eye, a shape, black and slick, slipping along the ceiling tiles. I spun, but it was gone. My heart hammered in my chest. I stumbled backward, mug still in hand, and nearly tripped over the ring of flowers. The petals brushed my ankles, papery and cold, and I recoiled as if stung. The corridor outside was darker than before, the exit sign at the end now guttering, its red light smeared and dim. I ran, not caring how loud my footsteps sounded, not caring if I looked ridiculous. I jammed the elevator button, but nothing happened. The doors stayed stubbornly shut, the lights above them flickering and dying. I turned for the stairs, plunging down the concrete steps two at a time, the sound of the clicking chasing me, growing louder and sharper with every floor. The ground level was suffocatingly cold, the lobby lights now dead. The glass doors were fogged over, and as I reached them, my breath caught. On the outside, a handprint, long-fingered, smeared, trailed across the glass, as if something had pressed against it from the other side. I bolted, shoving the doors open, running to my car. I fumbled the keys, dropping them once, twice, before finally wrenching the door open and collapsing behind the wheel. My hands shook as I turned the ignition, headlights spilling over the empty lot. As I drove away, I looked back once. In the upper floor window, a shape watched me, a shadow, tall and impossibly thin, its outline shimmering in the glass. The flickering light behind it died, plunging the window into darkness. I didn't sleep that night. I tried to tell myself it was exhaustion, that my mind had played tricks on me, but when I emptied my bag the next morning, the mug was gone. In its place, wrapped in a sheet of office paper, was a single wilted white flower. Its petals were flecked with something dark, almost black, and the smell that rose from it was sweet, rotting, and unmistakable. I left the job a week later. I told my manager I'd found something better, that I wanted to move on. I never told her about the mug, or the flowers, or the thing that watched from the window. But some nights, when the house is quiet and the clock ticks over to midnight, I hear it. The soft, wet clicking just beyond the walls. And sometimes, when I pass a window, I catch a glimpse of something reflected behind me, tall and thin and waiting. I wonder sometimes if it was the mug, my innocent need to reclaim something of my own, that invited it in. Or maybe it was always there, waiting for someone to stay late, to break the rhythm of the ordinary, to make just the right mistake. I don't know if it's finished with me, but I do know this. The office building stands empty now, its windows dark, the lot overgrown. And if you walk past at night, you might catch a whiff of something sweet and rotten on the wind. If you do, don't look back. And whatever you do, don't go inside.